doubleheader races during the week that NASCAR's talked about. I really do not want to see that. I mean, granted, you want to try to recoup some of the money, but considering all the moving around that things have to do, I mean, teams having to go from the West Coast all the way back to the East Coast, back to their shop to get ready for the race, and having to do that back and forth with even the tighter frame, I really don't think that's a fair trade-off for the teams and all the internal folks that have to do this 24/7, 365. I just think it's an extra burden that they really don't need at this point. So granted, I mean, the losses are going to be significant, but at the same time, though, trying to make it up all at the same time. And that's one thing about base through December, which I really do not like, is, you have limited places where you can play these games. And I think a lot of fans are going to get cheated out of seeing the major games because they're going to be trying to run this all the way into the month of December. But at least NASCAR, IndyCar aren't going to try to do that and shove things down their throat. But, it's a tough situation for everyone. But, again, getting through this and getting back on the track, that's the number one target right now. And whatever that takes, so be it.
Yeah, Major League Baseball is going to have a big issue. I don't think they're going to cancel the entire season, but they've got to figure the same thing with NBA. But certainly with baseball and the way that they play and the number of games they play in their contracts and with the union, basically says you can't play so many games in a row. There's a thought, and again, this is just a thought, that what they might do is what they do in the minor leagues, and that's do a doubleheader of 7 innings each. That's a possibility, but there might just have to be the new reality for the MLB this year is that they have an abbreviated season, and everybody goes out there balls to the wall, and whoever comes out on the end is how it comes out on the end, and maybe that's a justification to say, well, maybe they didn't truly win the World Series because we didn't truly have a real season. But so those are all controversies that are yet to have in the NBA. We're looking at it. It might be, around Christmas, basically they play a few games and then get right into the playoffs, and it's going to push us into the fall. So we'll see what happens with these other sports. Let's talk a little bit about the NASCAR world. What's going on with them? As we know, they're also doing the e-racing, and as you mentioned just a few moments ago, they're kind of the leaders of this bandwagon with the e-racing, iRacing or e-racing. Sorry.
Indeed on that, and obviously I think the big question in my mind is with all the entries that are in the possibly play-in or race-in race, are they going to find a way to be able to show that? They didn't show that last weekend. I think that caught a lot of flack from people because, let's face it, there are some big names that do not have automatic qualification spots that are going to have to try to race their way in the field. Guys like, for instance, Kaz Grala's on the list, Brendan Poole's on the list, Justin Allgaier, Justin Haley, who won Daytona last year, Austin Cindric's on that play-in race list, Jeffrey Earnhardt, Stuart Friesen, Joey Gaze, Harrison Burton, even a Chase Briscoe, who, remember, Chase Briscoe finished 5th at the Homestead race this past Sunday. He then went to the World of Outlaws Invitational, which had 80 participants, and he made it to the A and finished 6th in that event. So talk about, big heavy hitters in this circuit. Even a Sheldon Creed's going to be in this thing. And Joey Gaze, who made it Daytona 500 appearance. This is a loaded field. And I got to say, hopefully NASCAR will find a way to be able to at least stream the play-in event because, the big event's going to be big in itself, but the play-in race, a guy's going aggressively just to make that main field in the final draw, be a great race in itself. And like we said, a loaded field this week. Of course, the big name is Greg Biffle coming out of retirement to run this event, Bobby Labonte. And, of course, Bobby Labonte actually has a lot of sim racing ties. I don't know if you remember back in the mid-'90s, but he actually did an instructional video for the NASCAR 2 PC racing game as well. So that's another guy that could be a big surprise. And then, of course, the focus is going to be Dale Earnhardt Jr., who came so close to winning at Homestead last week, did on the last lap, last corner by Denny Hamlin. Could this be Junior's time to shine?
And I find, but here's the thing about it. What I'm enjoying about following this with NASCAR, again, these big names are coming out, but they've got everything from the opening ceremonies, like they've got people lined up to sing the national anthems. So they've even got virtual flyovers. I mean, so the whole thing is kind of cool to watch. But it's not the real thing, and I think we're all ready to go to the real thing. So let's talk a little bit about just sports in general, because we don't have a lot to talk about. But this day in 1984, a lot of Colts fans know what this day was, and this was probably one of the most shocking stories in NFL history, and that is that the Irsay family packed up some Mayflower tractor trailers and moved to the city of Indianapolis through the dark of night. What are your thoughts? It's hard to believe the Colts have been here since 1984.
Well, it was tough for Baltimore, but again, it just justified why John Elway did not want to play there, and that decision and all the flack that he got for not wanting to sign with the Baltimore Colts and eventually going to Denver just justified that situation even more. But you talk about this date in history. How about March 28, 1992? See if this will play for me.
Mobile now with unlimited talk, text.
Actually, I won't be able to get it. But, of course, who can forget March 28, 1992, Duke, Kentucky, that terrific game that went to overtime, and Christian Laettner make the buzzer beater to win that game, send Duke eventually to the Final Four and to their second straight national championship when they beat the Fab Five.
And I think I saw somewhere one of the networks is airing that today. So yeah, that's a very good valid point. So how have you been? Right.
Now that you mentioned that, let me bring up, because we're carrying on WSBT the best of the NCAA championship games. Let's see if I can give you an idea of which ones we are carrying today. I can't. I don't have the information in front of me. But, again, noon Eastern time on WSBT, we will have on radio 2 of the best tournament games of all time. We'll do the same thing again on Sunday. So just like last weekend, we will be reminiscing about that as well on the radio side with several of those great broadcasts.
So those that aren't located in the South Bend area, is there a way to listen virtually?
Westwood One has a feed, and I believe we have clearance to carry that, but don't quote me on that. But I know Westwood One Sports.com has a feed to get that. If you check the NCAA page, and also on the top bar, great games in NCAA tournament history, just click on that. Oh, now I see what we got. Elite Eight 2006, George Mason, UConn. And the 2010 championship game, I'm assuming Duke versus Butler. And you talk about heartbreaking losses for Butler. Just imagine one bounce and Gordon Hayward's shot would have gone in, and Butler would have won a national championship that night.
I remember that game. I remember that game vividly, and that was an exciting game. And it's unfortunate because this time of year is when we should be enjoying our March Madness games and our brackets. But hey, it is what it is. So how you been spending your quarantine time? Are you doing any binging?
Still working, and unfortunately gaining weight because the food that I've been eating at home, all the fudge rounds. Unfortunately, I go to the store last night and they're out of fudge rounds, so I'm having to live the other stuff right now. But yeah, it's going well. Had a chance to see the family a few more times and get other things done. And but yeah, it's going to be tough not being able to have family fun at Easter this year and a few other things. So yeah, but again, the sooner we get this cleared up, like I keep saying, follow the protocol, social distancing, keep your hands washed, use lotion, because I've torn my hands up a bunch with all the cleaning and stuff like that. And just be a little bit cautious out there. And who knows, by May we might be back up and going again.
Well, I sure hope so. I mean, I'm ready to get things going myself, and it's just we should take it very seriously. And I think a lot of it we didn't take very seriously at the beginning. We kind of thought that it was just a thing that was being overly exaggerated. And here's agree with the president or not agree with the president. I'm so glad that the House was able to come together and get the coronavirus stimulus package done, and the president signed it. So we'll see how that gets distributed out to people. I know there's qualifications that you have to have for that, but I'm so glad that he was able to do that. But if you really want to know what's going on with the coronavirus, don't rely on the media per se. Watch the White House press briefings. Be real as it can get. Whether or not you like President Trump or not, I think him and his organization are doing a great job of staying on top of this and working with some of the best professionals around. So hats off to them, and really hats off. Here's the thing. We don't give kudos to a lot of people that we might take granted for work, like the doctors, the nurses. I was watching the thing today with truck drivers. Let's think about what they're dealing with. And, I did DoorDash last night. We did DoorDash last night, and it's kind of, they drop it off and they go. But I noticed when the guy dropped it off, he had a mask on and gloves. They don't ring your doorbell or knock on the door. Amazon dropped my stuff off and just left. So it's kind of a drop off or go. But we don't take time to thank those that are really out there in the thick of it all. And the truck drivers especially, and the farmers still have to get out there and do their work, and the medical professionals, the policemen, the firemen, all of those people have to still go out there and do their work. So, hats off and kudos to them. Matthew Embury, official IndyCar contributor, WSPT up in South Bend, joins us to talk. Give us any final thoughts or words of wisdom, sir.
Well, keep in mind, just because it's a virtual event, Firestone Fantasy Challenge is available at IndyCar.com. And to give you an idea of who I'm picking for that, I'm going with the guys that are well scripted in this type of racing, iRacing. And Will Power has a good track record. Scott McLaughlin has a good track record. The guys that I picked for initially, Sage Karam, Santino Ferrucci. And maybe we get a surprise from one of the guys like Robert Wickens or somebody. But I'd say those four I mentioned, those guys could be the factors and the guys to be when we get action going. Again, 4 p.m. today on YouTube.com.
I don't know the answer to this, and maybe you do. If not, I can find the answer, and we'll get it up on our social media. But is the radio broadcast going to be doing the broadcast?
The TV is going to be doing the broadcast on YouTube. That would be Lee Diffie, Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell.
So no IndyCar radio then, just the YouTube broadcast.
No.
Okay.
Just the YouTube broadcast. I don't think there'll be an IndyCar radio call. I don't know about the online event. I heard there was some promotion that PRN might do it because I haven't seen anything on MRN, but that would be Performance Racing Network. So if you're interested in the audio, that may be the place to look. Do a search for Performance Racing Network.
Yeah, I got PRM. I just noticed that my buddy Jake Query hadn't posted anything on Twitter about doing it, so I was kind of thinking they weren't going to do that broadcast. Matthew, we appreciate you joining us. Stay safe out there, and we'll get through this on the other end.
Anytime, Tom.
All right. Matthew Embury, our official IndyCar contributor. You can find his work on SpeedwayDigest.com and, of course, other outlets around. Thank you for joining us. Guys, it's been another abbreviated version of the show, but, hey, always have a great time hanging out. We're going to get through all of this on the back end. Be curious to hear what everybody's binging on, and, follow us on Twitter at TBalance and or on Facebook. I don't know why I had a brain fart there. Maybe my brain's got the corona. I shouldn't laugh, but hey, we got to make jokes. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. My name's Tom Marquis, Presidente. Have a great time out there. Remember, don't drink and drive. You shouldn't be driving right now anyway, because you shouldn't be going anywhere. But have fun. And enjoy it, and enjoy your binging. Check out some of these iRacing races that we've talked about. We'll be back here next Saturday, same balance time, same balance channel, and keep up with us on social media. We'll see you soon. Stay masked, people.